Welcome to the Enlighten Up podcast, where I am going to take you into a deep exploration of what it means to exist in this current reality. We are going to raise your vibes, open your mind, expand your heart, and dive deep into the wondrous mysteries and possibilities of this lifetime. There's been a spiritual catalyst that has set in motion the awakening process of many across the globe to return to the knowingness of self and unite what has been separated. Together, we're going to bring light into that darkness. We're going to remember the joy of living. But most of all, we're going to turn up the volume of our own eternal power and do the thing we're here to do. Welcome back to the Enlighten Up podcast, everyone. I hope you're doing well. We are in for a treat because we've got our favorite astrologer, seer, Mary Dusina in the house today to go over this big full moon in Capricorn. But before we jump into that, we want to give you guys a little rundown on this Uranus in Gemini. Uranus, a planet of revolution, innovation, liberation, breakthroughs, sudden changes, instability, but also genius, lightning ideas, downloads, has moved out of Taurus and into Gemini just yesterday on the 7/7 portal. So Mary, welcome back. It's always good to have you with me here today.
Thank you, my dear. Happy midsummer season in the Northern Hemisphere. Definitely been feeling the heat here in the Smoky Mountains. Been feeling the heat, and also, as all of us are, we're taking that moment. The sun is still in the sign of Cancer. So since we got at the solstice point on the 20th of June, we're being touched in our hearts, and our souls are receiving uploads, downloads of programming, liberation, as Nicole mentioned the word, radical liberation. And what we're having is like enlighten bolts. We're having these lightning bolts with the full moon and Uranus going into an etherical air sign of Gemini, the sky, space, the heavens, communication with our heavenly archetypes, our beloved ones. Some have contact in the realm of the sacred spirit, the Summerland. Others have guides and angels. The first and biggest thing I feel about this early July shift, Nicole and beautiful audience, thank you again for your attention and support and your tribal participation. I feel like that this is offering us an ability, perhaps like once before or how it used to be, but it's allowing us a much stronger availability and access to the revelations of spirit, the purposefulness and the passions of your soul, the messages as above, so below, the heavenly voice. And it might be that you awaken from deep sleep. There's signs and wonders. I really do feel that this Uranus into Gemini is going to be giving us a soul classroom in what is the difference between the words awe, A-W-E, and wonder. So signs of awe and wonder. For me, awe would be those things that happen, maybe rapid fire, totally unexpected, and it's almost like you can feel your soul, you can feel your spirit wanting to genuflect, to bend on your knees, because it is just that fabulous, incredible, woa type of a thing. I mean, to me, awe is like, by the grace of all that's holy, by the almighty I am. It's those supernatural force. It's probably supernatural strength, to be able to get us on the same frequency and see and acknowledge and feel. For me, awe comes up with a feeling. It's definitely a feeling. And then wonder might be a little bit more of the yang. It might be a bit more of like, what just happened? And I'm so glad it did. Or boy, that was fast. That was rapid fire. That was fast and furious with Saturn and Neptune and Aries. I need to really understand how my thoughts can become things that have action. I'm kind of with these, the Gemini and the Aries and the Venus and Gemini. I'm kind of just getting this feeling that the full moon in Capricorn is what's going to help us organize what could potentially be pre-existing or like an internal anxiety, like a bit of chaos or a bit of confusion. And I believe that the Capricorn is the weakest sign for a full moon, the weakest in a sense that we don't get so emotionally triggered or charged up over it or on the defensive too much. We just get down to business and we want to fix whatever the issue is at hand. Or if it's lovely, take that poignant pause and this is nice. I enjoyed meeting this person. This is really an out of the box great dinner conversation and food. I don't want to rush past this. And I believe also, Nicole, Capricorn, the full moon in Capricorn, of course, it relates back to the new moon in mid-January of 2025. So basically 6 months ago, what'd you start the new year with as far as what you wanted to achieve or desire? And let's take that pause, pat yourself on the back for what you got organized, what you got set up, what's gotten a little more routine in a comfortable way, and what are you beginning to establish with the diligence to actually put the momentum now into achieving the win-win, because there were steps to take. There's always steps to take to get there toward the goal. So it isn't just winning a race. It's about applying the right kind of shoes and the right kind of attire if you're pole vaulting or entering the Olympics or swimming. So there's different kind of protocols that go with it. And Capricorn is an energy that's, to me, the most successful overall of the earth signs, because it's got that stick with itness. And so right now we have the diligence to achieve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This moon, it's the nice thing about it is it's got a beautiful trine to Mars and Virgo, and also it's trining the South Node. So this is probably going to be something where many of you are going to feel this need to purge maybe old service identities, maybe some sort of perfectionism that prevents you from building what you're needing to build. There's actually a conversation I literally had with someone at the pool this weekend, who's been wanting to, really kind of expand his business, but he gets so caught up in that, like, it's got to be perfect. It's got to be just right. Everything has to be in place. And so things like that hold you back from building and moving forward. This full moon is really shining light on that. And whatever kind of, these things are, you have to control it through more effort, whatever that is. So where have you maybe been over functioning to earn your worth, or what duties or shoulds are still masquerading as your purpose? Because I do feel like this Capricorn full moon is saying, hey, it's time to start building for yourself and stop building for others, or what the world wanted you to build, or what your family expected you to build, or, things of that nature. So, and also this idea of like, maybe, if you're in a job or a career that, maybe pays you good money or gives you the security that you want, or a certain level of status, or what you should be doing. You don't want to refine your systems that were never built for your soul. And that's that South Node in Mars in Virgo. So,
that's very well said. That's very well said. Say that again about how did you say that? I want to make sure I absorb that. How you redefine your systems. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Say that again about that.
Stop refining the systems that weren't really built for your soul.
I love that. That you need to put that on a bumper sticker at your next seminar or workshop, because don't you feel that, audience? So many paragraphs of like, whoa, wait, I need to hear that. So many paragraphs drop down from that, both collectively as a tribe and individually. It's just like, whoa, wait a minute. Have I been a little too caught in a mental web, which ultimately can create more confusion or criticism? If we get caught in a mental web of what about this or what about that, and then what if that happens and what if that doesn't happen? And as Nicole mentioned earlier with the poolside gentleman, what about if I have such in my heart and in my mind, I really want to show up do an absolutely perfect job. So I think where my limitation is my intention is so strong. You know, there's a lot of people out there that have not found the revelation and the limitation lift of knowing more about your intention. What are you intending to do? What would you intend to create? If there are choices in front of you, what could you get behind? What feels like you'd be drawn to that and you wouldn't be a procrastinator, or you wouldn't just be caught up in your mind? So remember, the nodes have shifted to the North Node Pisces, South Node Virgo, as she mentioned, with Mars there till like August 7th, somewhere around in there. Mars is going to pop into the air sign of Libra. So we're going to have a whole lot of electricity, a whole lot of mental curiosity. It can even be right now the foreshadowing, the forefront of early August is going to be Venus has moved into the mercurial sign of Gemini, and she's curious. And so Venus being a bit of the style of our sensuality, when she goes into Gemini, it can be verbal turn-ons. It can be wordplay. It can be, you know, boy, what was just said right there absolutely caught my imagination on fire. So someone can have an external human creature envelope that's attractive by whoever standards you follow, societies or whatever, not my thing, I go by energy. Or someone could be not the type, your attraction template that you would normally, you know, just visually be curious about, or create the exclamation points or the question marks, and then you talk to that person, or you're in a venue to where you know a little bit more about how that person speaks or thinks. Gemini, Aquarius, Libra. So right now the energy is that, oh, I might be surprised because if I'm turned on in my mind, and if I feel a congruency, a tribal kindredness with how we are, where we are evolved psychologically, how our frequencies are, which chakra level I'm at, however you want to term it. You know, like if you meet someone and you're both in that green, kind of green, rose pink heart chakra energy, I promise you, it's not going to matter what your physical envelopes look like, whether you think they're too young, too old, too skinny, too fat. None of that's going to matter, because when it comes to frequency, it goes back to, I see you and I'm interested. There's something that's got a different kind of a frequency fire, and I can feel inspiration and aspiration with this. And however it needs to go might be quicker than usual, while Venus spends most of July in the sign of Gemini. So it literally could be that the things that we've been stalling on, here's two timelines. The things that we've been caught up in, Nicole mentioned a particular area of work or a family challenge dynamic with elders or children, some kind of functioning of like it's a time in your life where you're real busy with the younger ones, or paying homage and service to those that are your respected elders. And there's this intensity that's been going on since 2018, when Uranus last changed signs into Taurus. So we've had 7.5, 8 years of the planet that rules Aquarius and is curious and has a far vision and wants to like break and smash the rules that, as we talked about at the opening of the show, of what our parents or our families or society deems, and wants to tell us what's pretty, what's cool, what's fashionable. When you get into frequency and you get into the priority being the evolvement of your soul and connecting with the dimensions of yourself that have to do with soul level and heavenly frequencies and foreverness, you know, the I am that is and always will be. When you start getting into that, there's a whole bunch of levels that begin to create a nice Merkabah kind of halo spiral kind of thing, to where you absolutely are more emotionally secure that this is that time of year. The sun is moving through the water sign of Cancer. It's our fourth sign in the order of Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. And the new moon was around 4 degrees. And so what we're looking at is we're looking at all 4 points, major points in our astrological chart, the sacred 4 directions on the medicine wheel. So we are, for those that know this, I'll acknowledge that when we got to solstice, we started the inner child, we started the position of the great turning of the medicine wheel of south. And so it's that vulnerability, it's that curiosity, it's that unique aspects of what we leaned into when we were the young ones. And so it's the inner child speaking to whatever biological age we are right now until we get closer to that, the third week of July. The 20th is a poignant day. The 24th is a poignant day when we start getting into the lion, the lioness energy. But right now, 2018 is one of those cycles you're going back to. The other timeline has to do with 6 months ago, which I mentioned, when we had the new moon, the sun and the moon, depositing their seeds of intention and aspiration and passion into the earth back in mid-January of 2025. Now it's bloomed. The shells of the seeds have bursted open. There is the earthworms and the energy and everything that's saying, yes, this new moon to the full moon, this last 2 weeks and the 2 weeks going forward have to do with our inner view, our inner vision. Where are you at with yourself? A full moon in Capricorn is that moment in in the yearly cycle where we sit down, look at what's working and what's not, and get real with ourselves. So this lunar phase is like a checkpoint. It's, have your goals evolved at all? No judgment. Have your goals progressed? Are your boundaries solid? Are you spending your time in a way that actually supports and harmonizes with the life path that you're wanting to build? So Capricorn, Saturn ruled Capricorn, builds things that last. Do it right the first time or don't bother. And it's a full moon in this sign, in the earth element of Capricorn, is saying what's ready to be seen clearly, especially where we've been putting effort without reward, or where in our lives it's time to step up, claim ours, release what we've been using as a pacifier or a plan B, because we're a little vulnerable about plan A. So this is a reset point, I feel. It's a big point. It's the fourth house in an astrological chart. It's that frequency, those things of the fourth house. And then on the medicine wheel, like I said, it's the south. So on the south medicine wheel, we have a lot of the color of yellows. Sometimes they'll work with the sunset, sunrise colors. And then what we have also is the rabbits that are evolving and beginning to mate. Or we have in some indigenous cultures, First Nations cultures, it's coyote, the trickster, Kokopelli. So it has to do with our humor. Do we have good humor lately? How are we micromanaging our stress? So a Capricorn moon on a 3D level can also show us with this whimsical Mercurial, Venus and Gemini, Uranus and Gemini that Nicole's going to do her speak on a little bit, is that it has to do with, we've got the extra energy. It could start to create anxiety or stress our nervous systems in general if we don't attend to the duties at hand. This is like a really productive cycle that the burnout comes if we don't attend to it.
Yes.
If we don't look at it.
Yeah, no, I want to actually to piggyback onto that. With this moon, everyone, it's like, take this directive. You don't need to hold it all. You only need to hold what's yours. Okay, so this isn't about your control. It's about your consent to stop carrying structures that were never your responsibility to begin with, right? This is the moment where your emotional overfunctioning is going to die and your sacred self-responsibility is reborn. So you may have inherited like systems from your family roles that, you weren't able to refuse, like you just, you had to go along. Work ethics may be built on survival. Energetic contracts may be based on loyalty, not your alignment. And so now this like moon in Capricorn is saying, return it. The timelines, the mask, the legacy of burden, dressed up as your strength, like put it all down, because this isn't about being strong. It's about being clean in your yes, clean in your no, clean in what you're building and what you're releasing. That's that south node, right? Because with the trine of this moon to the south node and Mars in Virgo, that's helping you surgically cut the energetic rot out of the picture. So this moon is in a way ending some kind of martyrdom for you, whatever that false mission that you thought you were like part of, or that you felt like you had to be part of, like some kind of obligation or what it was, all of that, it's it's like this idea of that lie that is your worth is measured by your output, right? Which, I totally fell into that one for such a long time, and I'm still trying to get myself unwoven from that lie. But this is about your emotional truth, not your performance, not your perfection, not pressure. This is about releasing from that contract of control. So that's like a really big part of it. And I think, when it comes to, this idea, like Saturn is very important to pay attention to because it is the ruler of this full moon. And Saturn is currently in Aries, right? Sitting very close to Neptune. And so with that happening, that's really bringing in this idea of, what have you been building that maybe has been a fantasy that you need to, or an illusion that you need to let go of. This is where your structures and what you're building need to meet your soul, and you need to let go also of whatever illusions you might have disillusioned yourself with that are getting in the way of what needs to be built. So that is a big part of it, I think.
That's it. It is. And when Saturn, now in Aries, when Saturn and Neptune, if Saturn's like the concrete floor, the foundational point of an idea, or what's the number one thing when you go to buy a vehicle? What's the number one thing if you're going to travel? Is it going to be by plane, or you want the river cruises, or sea? The sea cruises, or the river, there's just one that's just the rivers all around Europe. So it has to do with, or do you want to drive, or do you want to have someone else go with someone and let them drive? When you go, do you want to do skiing? Do you want to do hiking? Do you want to do horseback riding? So it's these things, these curiosities, and I want to dip my toe into that she was talking about, that don't let the burden, again, leash you or trap you if it's based on just all the effort or all the output. This has to do with you building such a level of psychological, creative, emotional security, which for me, of course, your soul's safe when you're just authentic and be who you are. This has to do with you being okay with whatever step or procedure or moment is happening, because you already did the big step of being dedicated to the cause. And Saturn and Neptune are where dreams meet reality. And it's a pretty rare conjunction. We talked about major timelines about 10 minutes ago. And so this conjunction is the beginning of a new 36-year cycle. So do the math. I'm close if I say maybe 1979, 78, 80, somewhere around in there, where your ideals had to also prove their utility. So it's not that we can't work an idea, but does it have that tangible, palatable, yes, I put the outlet on the wall, I did it right, and I got the plug, the power's on, power works. So to Nicole's point, there will be, when we have these big cycles, 7 years, 2018, 36 years ago from 2025, that kind of timeline that can encompass, and Saturn has not begun the zodiac for 28 to 30 years. Take yourself back to maybe 1996 type of a thing. So there's this energetic system that's saying to you, the numbers are floating up again for a reason. Even sometimes when you misadd or you don't get the right, look at the numbers, even when you make a mistake, when you're trying to add things. Why did that year pop up? Oh, I wasn't paying attention, but why did that year pop up if it was the wrong answer? So look at the 1996s and what was happening when we were leaving the 70s in your family going into the 80s, and what was happening in 2018 forward into 2019. We'd just come off that great North American eclipse at the 29th, the Antarctic degree of Leo in August 20th, 21st of 20, and around that time, 2016, 2017. So we were launching an epic theme. And just like this Uranus going into Gemini, it's the third one for the United States of America. So it ties back to the Civil War and Revolutionary War and the first time women were able to vote and all these kind of cycles of the idea whose time has come. The surge in inventive creativity that at times seems to be divinely inspired or otherworldly. So first I want to say, before we go through how, Nicole, how Uranus is hitting each one of these, of the 12 houses or signs, and when we say the sign, you can apply it to either what area is happening in your chart, or if it's your sun, moon, or rising. Like, just learn the energy and the mechanics of the sign more than just what it's attached to. Then you can move the intelligence around. So first I want to say to Pisces people out there, the last 2.5 to 3 years have been very intense for Pisces people. They have resurrected. They have survived the storm. They had to walk through the storm pretty much on their own. And when we've got this Saturn now ending the last sign of the 12 Pisces and shifting into a whole new era, with it beginning the zodiac, Pisces are getting, it's like they're coming out of the wounds of the soul. They're coming out of the dregs and the anchors, the metal ankle, if you will, like metal, the ball and chain type of thing of Saturn being in Pisces. And now we have the nodes in Pisces. And I am an astrologer that ascribes to one of the teachings that I have from one of my British English astrological mentors. And he said, Saturn never goes through a cycle. Saturn never goes through a house, or it never goes through your sign with your Saturn returns, or when it opposes or squares you, without, especially when it goes through your sign, without starting to let you see the manifestations of the wins, the rewards, the results of what you faced and what you confronted and what you broke away from, and how you'll not be abused or taken advantage of ever like that again, even, as Pisces can do this, even if it was our own self allowing the sabotage, even if it was our own self falling back into an old childhood pattern of self-sabotage when something desirable got close, when something real could actually move us in our adulthood into places that we haven't soared into yet, or for at least a very, very long time. Saturn is Chronos. Saturn is time. So for Pisces, and to a large extent Virgos, but mainly for Pisces, with the North Node in your sign, there is such a thing as karmic rewards. There is such a thing of you being able to bask and be able to bear witness to how you've showed up as your real self. And if it cost you some people or you lost some relationships, that wasn't your intention. So don't take that burden on, Pisces. It had a lot to do with, how about I've simply graduated from that strife and this lesson and that relationship, and maybe none of it is wrong. Maybe it's just time to shift. And so with this Uranus now, and Uranus, however you want to say it, in Gemini, again, it triggers the 4 signs of Gemini, Sagittarius, Pisces, and Virgo until August 7th. Mars is in Virgo. So in a not so obvious spotlight, because everybody's thinking Capricorn, everybody's thinking the sun's in Cancer right now, and Saturn and them are in Aries, but it puts a spotlight of some big answers coming around Pisces and Virgo. It's that 3-year saga, that 3-year rite of passage, and now you've come to, back home. You've come to, wow, that was intense, and boy, maybe they took advantage of me, maybe I gave too much, maybe I expected too much when I gave to that person that they owed me. Those kind of things, and what really is the currency of contentment and spiritual value is what Pisces especially has been going through for the last 3 years. And I believe that where Virgo's getting a plan and getting it more organized and not avoiding it, and Gemini has been having a lot of people and a lot of superficial things go on because they wanted to have an audience, because their mind, they don't feel like their mind has either been thinking on course or been thinking in the areas that are the arrows of inspiration and creativity that Gemini does crave, that stimulation to learn. Gemini is both the teacher and the student. So those of you that you Geminis and you Sagittarius, now that Uranus has moved into Gemini, and the polar opposite of that, the polarity, is Sagittarius, it's like journeys of the soul, journeys of the mind, getting behind the wheel, doing the boat, throwing the anchor, walking on the island meditating, looking within the vastness of the universe, different philosophical things. I mean, we're going to talk about the fastest moving messages and messengers are going to be cycling around Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces. I just feel out of the four that Pisces is going to feel the biggest emotional and psychological weights come off of them back when they perhaps started to blame themselves because they couldn't seem to maintain control with whatever was going sideways or, getting knocked off the rails 3 years ago. So I just want Pisces to realize, I really want to say to Pisces, there's some very real good reward coming to you. Your efforts were not in vain. Your tears that you silently put on the pillowcases when you just didn't understand how did it ever get out of control this much with myself or with them, or who am I anyway? I just really want to speak to the Pisces, and I see you, and I can see that it's been very, very intense for your sign over the last 3 years, and so I feel that, although a normal astrological teacher, I'm going to go, oh, Venus is square Pisces, and oh, it's a 90 degree, and it's making a hard square to the sign of Pisces and Virgo. I really feel that this gives you the impetus, this gives you the extra chutzpah to be able to just slip the boots on that have to do with dedication. Oh, there's my dedication boots. And oh, look, the souls, S-O-L-E, S-O-U-L-S, are made of light. So my soul is light. My light is my soul, and my light is now walking forward. That's the big psychic message I hear for Pisces and the people that have Pisces strong in their chart. This is rich, resonating, otherworldly. Oh my gosh, I know who I am and how it is. And yes, I see the responsibility of it. Thank you for the clarity. I'm moving forward now. And I've got a story to tell with what I put myself through. That kind of a thing.
Well, look at that. A little bit of love for our Pisces out there who've gotten a little bit of the hard stick from Mary in the last few readings.
and it's a Saturn ruled sign. Capricorn's a full moon, and so Saturn, when you do the work, and I absolutely am throwing my hand up in the air, waving it, has who's done the most work and had to do the most. You can run, but you could not hide. That's Pisces. What if you just look back 3 years, Pisces, of where you are now versus what you maybe feared then or hoped wouldn't happen then, and look at how strong you are. Although I absolutely will agree with you, it could have been a rough ride.
Yeah, no, I know a few Pisces that it was.
Yep.
Well, speaking of Saturn, why don't we just kind of talk a little bit how Saturn with the sextile to Pluto and Uranus is affecting this full moon, and then we'll do a deeper dive into Uranus before we go into the actual all signs for the full moon. So, Saturn as the ruler of this full moon is getting activated a lot right now. So it is in a sextile to Pluto in Aquarius. And I like to think of that sextile as more of like that door opening energy. It's an opportunity. You gotta take it, right? So there are opportunities here with this full moon, but it's basically saying like build structures that are really aligned with your soul's deeper blueprint. Your identity, which is where Saturn is in Aries, is being rebuilt through some kind of inner mastery right now, not projection. And Pluto's always there to clear the system, and Saturn's really helping to construct a new one. And then when you have Saturn sextile Uranus and Gemini now that it's in the 0 degrees, this is like Gemini rules the nervous system. And so nervous system integration of soul level insights. This is where like innovation becomes real when you're disciplined by your own integrity. That's very Saturnian energy. And this is about rewiring how you think, speak, and conceptualize freedom, right? It's freedom in how you're going to work, freedom in how you're efforting, freedom in how you're building things. And so together, these sextiles to Saturn are laying down the tracks of your future identity post-ego death, right? And that's kind of what's going on. And so when you put that all together and then you think of, well, Pluto is also in a trine to Uranus. This is where power meets prophecy. So this is a future self integration, not just collapsing the old, but actually uploading the new right now. So you may feel some kind of sudden clarity about what no longer resonates with you over the next couple of weeks. You might receive visions or language around a version of you that hasn't landed. And but yet it feels very inevitable, right? And so the trine of this Pluto Uranus, which Mary and I are going to go into now more, it's possible to let go and receive without destabilizing, but only if you've really cleared that backlog of your outdated roles, that Capricorn energy, as well as your emotional obligation. That's where the sun is in Cancer, for the karmic overfunctioning, which is our South Node in Virgo. So this is kind of how it's all tying together. Now, with the big transition of Uranus out of Taurus and into Gemini, this is a big one, especially because it is in a trine to Pluto and Aquarius, which, Aquarius is where Uranus, the modern home of Uranus. So I think we're going to see rapid things go through major deaths and rebirths when it comes to a lot of things. But with Gemini, the sign of our ideas, the sign of our communication. So one of the things that I think we're going to be definitely seeing are, I don't know, maybe new languages coming in, or languages being found. I don't know. I'm really picking up. Mary, you tell me if you've picked up on this. But I'm really picking up on telepathy getting very strong over the next 7 years.
100%. And probably, we don't have Uranus turning retrograde until like September 4th, 5th of this year, and it'll briefly touch into Taurus by November. So, because it only moves like a degree a year, because it's our new 7-year itch. And so that whole, back to your words again, I'm going to put two of them together that you had put a few words in between when you talked about visions, about versions of self. So that the vision, those two words like jumped to me, saying there's the salt and pepper shaker right there. If you had to put the main things, take the sign before. If we had to take the main things that we learned in the Taurus area of our star map. So it doesn't matter whether you're a Taurus or not. Yes, that's a key, but wherever the sign of Taurus is in our chart, there's a little salt pepper thing you can do. Like the salt and pepper shakers are empty. They were in Taurus. They were filled to the top as the Taurus thing started 7 years ago. So now, as we change it to Celtic sea salt or pink Himalayan salt or iodized salt, now as we're looking at the salt of the earth and the salt of our life, there's a part of us it's good for us in our gratitude prompts or journals to write down what are the top, just 7, what are the main 7 things that I see that I accomplished, that I got over, that I broke away from. What are the best 7 things that are coming to my mind? Give it a day or two, just kind of play with the concept for a little while. I'm going to list 7 things that have occurred to me, around me, with me, for me, even if it looked crappy at the time, from 2018 to right now, July of 2025. Once you do that, and just take a moment to feel the awe and that feeling of, wow, that was big. Wow, I graduated. Wow, that's over. I'm better now because of it all, even if it was an accident or a fracture psychologically, emotionally of a bone, a relationship, a family, expectations. There's different kind of fractures, and Saturn rules the bones. The bones know. Mm-hmm. So sometimes the skeleton, the frame of our body, which is very Capricorn, is carrying the muscle and the sinew and the fascia and the nerves and the blood flow and the organs and everything that's going on. But the skeleton, the bones, that foundational structure of you, that's what's being enhanced with this dynamic of the full moon to Mars and the South Node that Nicole mentioned, and the fact that this new Gemini energy that lasts for 7 years in Uranus, this is in a happy dance, like it's flirting with the power of the yang energies of, as Nicole said, new identity, pulsing forward, originality of Aries. We've got Saturn and Neptune, and they're rare every 36-year type of dance. We've got that getting along with the Gemini. Both are stimulants, by the way. Both are stimulants, both psychologically and with our temperament. So what we need to learn about Saturn and Neptune and Aries is take the higher ground, stop being in a divisive, competitive, jealous, envious mode, stop looking at what someone else has achieved and being jelly of that, obsessed of that. Not your business. Your business is self-correction. Your business is self-empowerment. Your business is self-soul. So we've got the Aries getting along with the Gemini, and then we've got Pluto, the great transformer, as a brother in arms. It's like it's like the Bedouins in a Middle Eastern, in the Sahara, in the tribe, the Bedouin, the desert people. And so the Yang energies with their cords and their scarves and their linens and their cottons guard the camels and guard the family, but the tribe is surviving and living in the desert. They're Bedouins, and it gets like really cold at night and really stifling during the day. And so it's like a different kind of core reality that unless you've visited Morocco, Egypt, or whatever, I mean, if you look at people, it's like Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, so, they think about magic carpets and, Aladdin, but the Bedouins are real people. They're like the survivors of that kind of arid, dry sands of time. So Saturn is the sands of time, now stimulating our ancestors, our culture, all, instead of this 23andMe and, all those kind of DNA tests, anything that you've heard from any of your family members, or if you were adopted, you were able to ascertain on the coat of arms or your last name, or what does this word mean in Scottish or Gaelic or Japan or whatever, Japanese or Chinese, what does this word mean? What's the etymology and the origins of this name? And you start putting those things together. Is it French? Is it, maybe you live in Canada? Maybe you learned French in school, but is the origin of your DNA, whatever you can research and find out right now, these are the voices of the skies, of the heavens. It's ultra-terrestrial. I believe that the frequencies and the abilities, the clairaudience, the clairvoyance, I believe that being able to, as scientists confirm, and things are always changing about what they say now, isn't it, that we only see so much with our vision and there's so much dark matter. I really believe that the quantum entanglements and the physicists and the stuff that has seemed very woo-woo, that someone like Dr. Bruce Lipton, PhD with all the degrees, talks about epigenetics. And no, it isn't just genetic from our family line, the diseases that we get. And yes, you can speak and talk to yourselves, like Nicole was talking on either the last show or the show before about red light therapy. There's going to be light and color and chakra understanding and Reiki, and actually, when you study these things for the calming of your consciousness, it isn't that you're trying to be some kind of, sports athlete and throw it higher, harder than anybody else can do, or jump the vault or win the race. It's about allowing. And so this is where we need to get our own 3D self out of the way to allow the majesty of the divine and our ancestral strengths, not their psychological brokenness, not their addictions, not their crimes, but as we are right here as multidimensional energetic antenna beings, heaven and earth, as above, so below, we also can call out with the whisper of our words and our intentions to bless the entirety of our generational lineage, if we have that intention. So Pluto in Aquarius says, you want to break it, release it for yourself, understand it, all of it was a lesson. Pretend you're some kind of Vulcan alien that doesn't get locked down in a prison of emotional remorse or seeking revenge, and allow yourself then to turn around and do it differently than whoever that was in your entire generational line. Whoever was the minus certainly won't outweigh the pluses most of the time. And if you turn around, you break all the generational curses, as you say, I release myself into the higher light of love. I release any and all that are in my generational ancestral lineage, literally any of the lights and sparks and links in my DNA and its majesty and history. I bless you all, and I call of myself in full intention of the light of the all that is here now for your miracles, for your wonders, for your signs, your clear signs and revelations, and the awesomeness of how we're all connected, and that we will rebuke doom scrolling. We will rebuke fear porn. We will stop being addicted to any kind of divisive platform. He, she, it, is, they, aren't, I, that we don't let that become the anxiety-producing aspects of Gemini, Uranus and Gemini, that we, as the storytellers, as the gatekeepers, as the portal openers, as the antenna of the divine, all that is, that's the Gemini and the Aquarius. And for a large piece of August of 2025, when Mars gets into Libra, we'll have that grand trine of Mars energizing all of this. And when we get favor of Mars to Saturn and Saturn to Uranus, when we get favor with that, it is absolutely otherworldly, all-inclusive. And so I'm seeing this as a midpoint in what the year of our Lord of 2025 that says, and now the real show begins. And now what you're going to show up for yourself, as your holy self, and what's going to show up for you. I see, to use another term we've used both of us today, a rapid fire manifestation, magic and manifestation and miracles and wonders to behold. Really, I see it. I do see aspects of it being a spiritual, I don't just want to say a spiritual war. There is battlefields that can occur of light, dark, right, wrong. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. The empirical possessions and invasions versus breaking away from being a victim, breaking away from allowing the perpetrator to be in control in any way, be it the legal system or the money or the person or the villain or the monster, and then saying that the monsters don't get to have a mansion in me anymore. Gemini can so accelerate what might take people 2 or 3 generations. We have the opportunity right now not to be bound and tethered by any of our former stuff that caused us to leech or to leak energy. I think that's the Pluto Uranus dynamic.
Well, and also with Uranus going into Gemini, Uranus can oftentimes bring war just because it revolutionizes things. It wants to set people free, like free from like slavery or whatever. And so I think with Gemini ruling our neighborhoods, our communities, our local communities, things of that nature, that's somehow like we can probably expect to see at first might be some division, but ultimately though it's about breaking free of things that haven't been working. I also think there's going to be a huge information war. We've already been in that, but there's something about like that, maybe like, especially with Pluto and Aquarius, like really getting to some secrets being revealed, something around that, especially when it comes to media, and so I expect there to be a little bit of a reckoning for the media to some degree. We probably won't get all of it, but I think that's something that we might see with the news, how the news is delivered, because, many decades ago, the news was considered, reputable. You turned on and you listened, and it was delivered in a very,
unbiased.
Unbiased way. And now that is not the case at all. And there's a lot of misinformation and a lot of emotional manipulation being used. And so I think we're gonna see something being transformed around that, as well as breaking free from that. And then again, because Gemini represents our like speech, right? So a lot of social media platforms, I think we've already seen the birth of some that are censorship free. I think we're going to start to see more of that come forward, where at first there might be some censorship coming through, but then it's going to like all of these things happen just to break free. So whether they're apps or platforms or whatever they are, but it's going to be really interesting. I mean, the great thing is Gemini rules science and tech, science, so we're going to see major inventions coming through this time. And like you were talking about the quantum realm, which I think is, that is definitely going to be brought forth extra with Pluto and Aquarius. And so there's definitely, I think you nailed it there, Mary, where I really do believe that the veil is going to be pierced in an interesting way, where we might be starting to see beyond this dimension. And of course, some of us already do, right? But I mean, I think on a bigger scale, I think we're going to start to realize, because I definitely expect some sort of contact from from galactic places,
Yep,
races, all of that in the next year or two. And so
space species.
yeah, space species. And so we're going to definitely see that coming through, which is going to alter so many different things, right? It's going to alter how we think about things, how we perceive the world, like just so many. It's going to have to rewire so many different neural pathways when that happens for so many people. So it's going to be really interesting, I think. And also then we have Gemini ruling transportation, right? And so we are going to definitely see new things with our cars, our trains, maybe things moving through the sky, faster ways of traveling, locally could be something that comes up, at least domestically within your country. So it's going to be a very interesting next 7 years.
It really is. I'm excited for the way that what I also feel, speaking of the media and ultra-terrestrial or extraterrestrial, I feel one of the things, as you mentioned with Pluto, being in the radical, that's it, hands down, no more hiding it. No more. We're not disclosing this. You're not dividing me on that either. I'm just going to cut straight to the chase and I'll feel it. And I'll know it in my bones. I'll know it. It'll feel right. Or what I always felt about aliens, what I always felt about Mothman, what I always felt about Bigfoot, Sasquatch, what I always felt, that was the vastness of space and the uniqueness of, we don't even have the bottom floors of our oceans on our beautiful biological Mother Earth all figured out or navigated or seen. There can be, or a book or a movie, there can be different perspectives and pluses and minuses, but I do believe that we'll see that even as much as we're so used to cell phones, you might see something come out that literally just makes them like in the dust kind of a thing, like, oh yeah, haven't you done this? You're still using a cell phone? Really? That could be chips, that could be neural links, that could be where we'll see miracles to behold with people that maybe were paralyzed at birth or vastly challenged with their limbs or whatever, that we're going to see that there could be what seems to be very invasive Wi-Fi, if you will, type of thing of technology, like almost like they call transhumanism, and that's a whole different definition of the word trans. Yet we're talking about what's been going on the last 3 years. Yeah, no, this is like maybe transcendental or part tech, part humanoid creature type of thing. So I do believe it's important, regardless of where you choose to anchor your ship of beliefs, your spiritual passages and treasure chests and navigations, and where you land comfortable on the seashore of, this is my soul, this is my spiritual place, this is heaven for me. This is the guides. These are the best versions. Always constantly wanting to improve of myself because of my commitment to my spiritual choices. This is literally walk it, see it. Then you're both the student and the teacher simultaneously, and that is the absolute best of the emotional and soul intelligence of the sign of Gemini. It's the higher echelons of that. It's like where we feel that we're light on our feet and flying free because we're not encumbered by guilt and shames and blames and measuring how brave we are, how good we are versus somebody else's truth. Yeah, no. Yeah, hard pass. Yeah. So Gemini's going to open us up. It's going to open us up. Like, what did you always hear from people? Well, I don't know if I believe in that. I mean, I haven't seen it. Until I see it, till I touch it, until I feel it, then I just don't think I can believe it. Okay, that's right here now. And the next 7 years. Your wish has come true. Your wish has come true. You will see it, you will feel it, and then the criteria will be, now what do you believe? So there's going to be a lot of things that they taught us were this way, and they actually hid a lot about that, but we felt a different kind of way. And so this Gemini and this Aquarius, combined with, I think, the Saturnian and Mars element of this full moon, absolutely dominates the next 6 to 7 months ahead of this point of July, the July full moon, this energy building of the 9th, 10th, and 11th of July, just after the rising, the heliacal rising of Sirius, and how back again, speaking of our ancestors, the Egyptians, the rising of the Nile, aligning with the Sirius constellation, the dog star, the bright star, July 2nd. Somewhere it shifts, but by different beliefs. Basically, between July 2nd and July 7th, it's that they would start to plant the rice. They would start to plant around the Nile because they timed it as people of the land. Capricorn is land. It has to do with the element of earth. So maybe it's the successful garden. Maybe it's the beautiful fence that you wanted. Maybe you're buying your first house. Maybe you're letting go of a house and downsizing, and it's more important for you to be in the Southwest or Florida or another country. It's like, no, this part of my life, I'm going to go to Costa Rica, or I want to go live in Mexico, whatever it is. Capricorn is that big ass decision. Like, I'm about to change my life up in here in a whole nother level. That's it. And you combine that with the speed beyond the speed of light of Aquarius and Gemini, and we're about to be going, they law, as we say in the South, instead of like, oh my, or what just happened in the South, we go, they law. That's just the noises I heard when I was a child, and then to me, they kind of like that, because then I can trick Northerners all the time when they come to visit in the mountains. I'll say to somebody, when it's cold, I'll say, look, I'll make a $20 bet with you right now. And they're like, what? And I said, I'm going to go get that Northerner over there. I'm betting you $20 right now that within a minute I can make them, they'll make a crow noise. I'm like, what? Yeah, okay, I'm on. I said, you got $20? Yeah, okay. And I'll go over and I'm like, see those clouds up there? Of course they're not from the mountain. See those clouds up there? Usually Floridians. Oh, yeah. And I said, well, people think it's going to snow, but you see, you got to have what they call buttermilk clouds up there. And I said, those are buttermilk clouds, and it's going to snow tonight or in the morning. They go, oh! People pronounce things in Canada, or, in Arkansas, or in California. The people have had comedy skits out of this, but it's also going to be with Aries, Gemini. Let me just get out of the astrological jargon and the $500 words, and let me just tell you, those two signs, the Aries, Gemini effect of Saturn and Neptune and Uranus and Gemini, that has to do with your own style. That has to do with how you're comfortable in your leggings or your jeans or your shoes. It's like, who's the real comfortable you? That's the sparkle in your smile, and that's the winking that's going on, in your eyes. That's that pineal, your three eyes, your two eyes that you see it, that you recognize them, and the pineal that's helping you see within. That's going to be activated too, because that's up there in the head. Aries rules the head. And Gemini, as Nicole said, is light language. It's different kinds of, it's how you feel when somebody else sings the song that you know the lyrics, you know who first made it famous, and then somebody else sings it, and you're just like, whoa. So it's like those sound, those soul level, utterances, and when the note goes high or it goes so deep, and you're just like, well, that just stopped my ass in my tracks. That was moving. So we're going to get moved off of our normal comfort zones. We're going to get moved, and we're going to have these moments of where, like, I don't know what that was. I didn't see it coming, and that goes for us psychics too. I did not see that one coming, but I can tell you, I don't have words for it, but I just got transformed. I just ascended. And I'm not anybody any more special or higher or lower or anybody else. I'm just telling you, those are the moments that change the trajectory and the people over the decades that I pull back myself when I hear a 7-year-old tell me, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and this is the plan of my life. And it's not just a book they just read or a movie on Netflix they just watched. You're like, really? Yeah. I know. I know about these things. I came in knowing these things. And when I've had the pleasure of someone that's 94, 95 years old, that's Saturnian. I just want to sit, when you've got Cancer, Capricorn in your chart, you want to hear how it was for the elders. Someone that's 6 years old now doesn't know what life was like this lifetime, what life was like before a cell phone or a Kindle or a laptop. Yeah. So the people that were born, in the 80s or the early 90s or the 70s, they can tell them stories about the land, about farming, like the Amish to a city person. I mean, it's that drastic. So Gemini can be the story that uplifts and heals, and Gemini helps you and I regardless of our signs, regardless of the numerology. We're talking in the highest level, not just picking out one kind of soft science, regardless of what we've learned with psychology and intimacy. you know, where we are right now, going, okay, I've looked at my intimacy and my sexuality, and so Gemini is about, is there anything else you want to explore? Is there a piece missing? That's not bad or good. Do you feel like something's missing? Do you feel like something could be added because you let go of something that you had already pledged allegiance and commitment to for, let's take 2 Uranian cycles for 14 years, or 3, go back 21 years. So 7-year cycles, 7-year cycles. That's when the 7-year itch. That's where we get the shake up and the shakedown. It's like shakedown, you're busted. And I thought about that when you talked about the pressure, Nicole. I forget who did it. I thought it was Queen, but it probably isn't. It's that rock group that did that song, or maybe David Bowie. Pressure, under pressure.
Yeah.
It's like you can look it up, Under Pressure. And I think Bowie did a version of it, and he's Capricorn. So he was Capricorn as he walked the earth. So this whole combination of looking at the art of your science. Let's get away from the science of it or proving of it or mathematics of it. Just look at the art. Look at the symbol in the constellation of the sea goat. It's the highest mountain, the goat, and it's the deepest depths of the sea. Kind of bringing in that Pisces energy with it being a goat with the dolphin's tail back to the ancient Greeks and all that. So there's this energy, the Bedouins of the desert. This is getting us to be pirates and Bedouins and explorers and moving forward. We're the adventurers. The Aries and the Gemini are the pioneers that go forward. The archaeologists and the museum and the curators and the digging up through the sands of times. Yeah, that's more earth sign. But we are now on a vision quest. You talked about visions and versions of ourselves. We're going to get visions of the version of what we've been calling for. So I would say, be very aware. Don't beware. Be more aware of the words that you're using, how you're saying what you're saying, and how you're saying what it is that you want to convey. Mm-hmm. So Gemini is also, as Nicole said, a different way of energetic expressions. So we've got some amplification going on there too, and especially if you're a Gemini. Because Gemini's, the Uranus into Gemini, it's on your sign, and you've got these other air signs bouncing around. So if you're a Gemini, maybe we'll start with Gemini instead of just Aries. We'll go in the order of Gemini because it's the biggest change. It really is. Personally, I would say the 7-year cycle, Saturn and Uranus, they're like big cycles. Like you'll know Mars more, and you'll know when Venus is in your sign, and and when the full moon and the new moon is. But these cycles here, when they first start up, that's when you start to see what's solid and what's shaky. Where am I on shaky ground? Am I going to dance with that? Or am I going to go get it? Do I need solid ground, or do I want to go jump on the trampoline over there? So for Uranus being in the first house combined with this full moon for the star of that, Gemini, and Venus right now in Gemini most of this month, it's pulsing that first house. It's saying to you, do you feel invigorated? Do you feel there's something you want to begin, or, throw down away all the odds. Don't just look at the money. Don't just fuss about the time it would take or whatever, as the opportunity would choose to manifest itself by the great I am, by the Holy Ghost, by a great spirit creator, whatever. What is it that you would feel like would be the most important to you? What would you relish? If time were running out? Gemini, Mercury can be time too, along with Saturn. The madness of time, the Mad Hatter and Alice in Wonderland. That's kind of what's going on with Gemini right now, with this full moon that says, take your time. Saturn ruling Capricorn and Uranus going into Gemini. Go, have you left yet? Forget about that. Just buy something to drink along the way. Get moving. So there's the way we're going to kind of crunch time and realize with how fast something can come in and how fast something can leave. We're going to realize with this shift, especially Gemini and Sagittarius, that time is an illusion. It's the awe, like, whoa, I'm in, or, oh, hard pass, and the wonder of how you have emerged from if you look at the word, I'm emerging, and then you look at the word, I had an emergency. I have to change everything that I had scheduled today. I've got an emergency, and then we emerge from that thing that absolutely took control of our schedule, that we were just so sure we were going to plan and control. Yeah. So right now, this full moon is not wanting to throw total chaos into the mix. It's allowing us to pause, wait for the pause, look on the inner vision, process that. Now, what feels like it's the fix it better, fix it quicker, do it right the first time kind of Capricorn thing. Next month's full moon, yeah, that one's in Aquarius. That you can go crazy then. You can absolutely be out of the box then when the full moon, comes up, next time, yeah, a month from now when it comes up in Aquarius, like, yeah, that's when you can just be wild. You're like, whatever costume you want to put on, that's going to be like bust a move type of a thing. So right now, Gemini, don't fight so much with yourself to hold on to, as Nicole had talked about 30 minutes ago, the established structures or what defined normalcy or what defined dedication of your time, attention, and money. Your involvement with whatever that was, the role you played. If you have kids and they grow up and they leave and they start their own life, yeah, they're still your kids, but they're not in the firing line of you needing to manage their survival as much as once was. So there's a shifting of the guard with this. Some Geminis might be kind of having a little moment with themselves going, oh, my kids are kind of telling me what to do. So that's interesting. I'm 60, I'm 50, I'm 70, and my kids are going like, pop, 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 like, I'm in charge now. This is cute. So there's an adjustment that starts to happen when we have our grandparents or our parents that are getting up into that the years that they go, I've been on this planet longer than you. I've had a lot more steps than you, and do not tell me how I'm going to do what I'm going to do, because I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. It's been a long time coming, and I'll be a long time gone. So you can get that resistance in families like they once gave us about, well, you should be this religion, or you should be this, and if you're going to get our approval, you'll do it this way, and if you don't go to college, I'm not going to talk to you. And I saved money for you to go to college. If you don't go to college, you're not getting the money. I've heard those too. So it has a lot to do with how we stand on our own 2 feet, what gives us shaky ground, shaky legs, nervousness, and can we overcome it? And I believe that as far as Uranus going into the new sign of Gemini for the next 7 years, I do believe Gemini and Sagittarius are starting position number 1 and starting position number 2 on the relay races. And then what comes in after that's Virgo. Because Pisces is getting a break. Yeah, Pisces is going to get a break. So I told you, Pisces, I can come hard on Pisces, but Pisces is going to get a pass. Pisces gets to be able to be both the merman and the mermaid, water and land, and enjoy how Mother Nature wants to comfort them right now. There's going to be affection and safety emotionally around Pisces. And for a large part of it, I think also Cancer and Libra are going to build that into their platform and be dedicated to that cause too. Now, if you're a Taurus, this full moon favors you emotionally. Man, it's a cycle of rest and comfort food, and Mars is in Virgo, and I'm a Taurus, and the moon's in Capricorn, and I'm loving this because I'm graduating from 7 years of, like I said, save money, do this. This is going to cost you. At what price? At what cost? And are you living where you want to live? And what's going on with everybody leaving or coming to your house? And how are your relationships? You're working all the time, and you're avoiding that partnership. So Taurus, since 2018, has been going through the pressure of like nothing stays the same. Nothing is forever. And so Taurus, of all the 12 spices and flavors, Taurus gets the value of having time to relax, to poke around, to be creative, to repurpose something, to value the antique, to really value the moment, the lunch, the meal with cherished people. And like, yeah, Taurus doesn't rush past that. That really is medicine for Taurus. So now Uranus is going to be in their house of monetary transactions, what they want to sell, they'll get a good price. Values have gone up. What they want to invest in or hold back on. So I feel like that Taurus is coming back into a world that it understands more. It likes the movement of gold and silver and money and barter, and being active with what they like to be involved with, what they want to work with, how they want to bridge and form safe pastures of friends and their lover. I will say, those Tauruses of you out there that think that you're kind of done with love because you got that divorce, or you lied, they lied, you cheated, they cheated, or, that's it, they passed away, I'm not ever getting married again. Or I'm never going to do that, I'm never going to try that. Well, talk to me in 2 years. Call Nicole and I, and talk to us in 2 years, you Taurus. So from right now, from July of 2023, yeah, talk to us. in the summer of 2027. You don't have to tell us what it is because it's going to be spicy. But what all you decided to dip your toe into the big, jump off the high dive, all those little metaphors that they like to use for, I thought I would never, ever, ever consider that. Yeah, okay. It's coming. It's at the very least going to be presented to you for an option to where you're sitting there going, oh my God, I'm 55 years old and I never thought I'd date somebody 28. Well, rock on. Here it is. You can say yes or no, but here it is. So there's going to be kind of sudden moments like that because people think Scorpio is the big old high sexy sign, knows everything about it. Yeah, we know a lot. But Taurus is the more actual boots on the ground, arms around you, in your hair, tongue sign that's going to go demonstrate that. Taurus is more physical about what's sensual and what the pleasure zones of a human body is. Scorpio is more, yeah, you'll get there if you pass the psychological stuff. I'm a detective on your ass first. So, Scorpios are going to be like, they're kind of like checking to see if they're going to pinch you or sting you or embrace you. But Taurus is like, yeah, that's good. That looks good. Ooh, that was smart. You did that. And Taurus is going to be that soft blanket, that perfect, lightweight, 100% cotton sheet. You're going to feel wrapped up in Taurus energy. They'll feed you. They'll listen to your stories. They'll tuck you in at night. So Taurus is going to give you that comfort of the old man, the old woman, the inner child, the little girl. They're going to be able to give you that because those are like the earthy moments when we get to de-stress. So Taurus is the bedtime story, tuck you in kind of thing, no monsters in the closet or under the bed. So now that Uranus is moving away from Taurus and this Capricorn full moon favors you, I feel the next 6 months, the overarching energy behind that with Taurus is going to be because it goes, Mars will go from Virgo to Libra to Scorpio. Is there's something about romance and pleasure and a real different kind of a settled in appreciation of where your intimacy and your most private life is as you get to November, December of 2025. You ain't going to hear that on another astrological podcast either because that was some intuitive stuff that even my mind did not know. It just came through. Yeah, so that was like a surprise for me as well as Nicole in the audience. So it's like I'd make some notes if I were you because it's coming in fast and furious. That's Aries. So if you're Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. There's that drill sergeant. There's that principal. There's that CEO of the company. Saturn in Aries right now. It's just saying, you know what? I'm like one of your soul guides now, and I have heard you bitch and whine and complain and get mad at them and this and that, as well as I will give you credit for getting mad at yourself too and exploding and erupting and addicting and whatever it is that you need to do to set your brain off. But all that fire that you got just simply wants to have a safe place to burn. So that anger that you had, I'm going to show you that there is constructive anger, Aries, as well as destructive anger or frustration or impatience. Because of those, it can be the minuses when we get a real strong flavor and spice of Aries. So for Aries right now, Saturn in Aries is saying, slow down, look at least 3 different ways before you decide that the only way forward on the highway is your way. We all know you're good at that, Aries. We all know you'll speak up. We all know that you're going to defend yourself. We all know that you can be bold as savvy. But in 30 years since the great teacher, the drill sergeant, graduating from the Marines, has been in your sign. So yeah, you are in a boot camp. Yeah, the next year, you're in a boot camp. The boot camp is something you called for to manifest so you could achieve the dreams and you could discern what really matters in your life or doesn't, and that you wouldn't start and continue to be so distracted and only get a little bit of it done and then get mad at yourself for procrastinating and going, oh, I give up anyway. So Aries, you're the fast burn. You're not necessarily the wick that goes all the way down the candle because that wick, it gets blown out, it gets lit again, so that your fire is lit. The engine is started, but it's not just about racing. It's also, are your brakes good? Yeah, Saturn's the brakes. Yeah, Mars can be the accelerator. So with the engine of your energy, what's the journey? Start allowing the alchemy and taking some meditative moments. I mean, you can have meditative moments open-eyed when you're driving or hiking or horseback riding or boating. So take some moments, and as you're looking at the sky, you're gazing at the water or fishing or underneath the moonlight, call it to you. Call it to you. Bless yourself, Aries, that you don't just express yourself in explosive impatience and, fiery words and all that, that you can be an alchemist that takes that external outburst of fire and apply it to something really delicious and creative and prosperous. So I think that this is the full moon for you, Aries. This full moon is hitting a part of your chart that says, why not you? It is you. So you're building both as the curious child. It's like a 4th, 10th house kind of dance for you. So I believe that you should allow the process of not being impatient about the reinventing of yourself. These planets, you're right up there in the spotlight, right up there with the Gemini and the Sag energy right now in Aquarius, Pluto in Aquarius. And those are the A-team. I often say that on podcasts. I like it when the Aries and the Aquarius energies dance together. So I really see, it could have just been Saturn and Aries, okay? It could have just been the harsh guy in the zodiac coming after you. Like, if you look back, if you're old enough to look back 29, 30 years ago, what changed in your life then? So you've got all these favorable things. If Saturn's got to be in your sign, it's mighty nice. Ask any astrologer when you've got the other outer planets kind of giving you kisses on your cheek. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on Pisces because I already made the strongest predictions in favor of Pisces for this summary type of cycle here in the Northern Hemisphere. But for Pisces or Pisces rising, this Uranus and Gemini thing, this fortitude of Pluto and Aquarius in your 12th house grants you vision, allows the acceleration of healing. Pluto in Aquarius is in your 12th house. Pisces, Uranus has moved into your 4th house. This is an entire reinvention of the best of, if you'll allow it. There are like surges. Nicole mentioned a purging. After the purging, then there becomes the surges. If we delete and empty our waste bin, our trash bin, like on the laptop computers, your waste bin is full, would you like to, empty the trash? Yeah, I want to empty the trash. So you're kind of like in an empty the trash cycle after you've had this saga of 3 years. And the Gemini factor, we'll call it that, you get the easiest aspect of the Gemini flavor because Venus is there. So like the end of the 3rd week of July 2025. So for all of us right now, this introduction to this new 7-year cycle, Venus is letting us start to see some of the sweet sides of it, not just the shock, the shock that waves that can bring like, whoa, I didn't see that coming, or wow, now I got to deal with this. So Venus is softening that. It's Venus that's in Gemini, while Uranus has just gone into Gemini on July 7th. So there's an energetic before we get Mercury retrograde on the 17th of this month, and before we get, Saturn retrograding in Aries on the 13th of this month. We're going to start to see that we're getting these like exhilarating ideas and the dreams that we need to write down and the shaman that we meet and the podcast that moves mountains for us in our life. Because why? You're listening to these words we give you today, and the gift is it's a validation. You can't just do that in words. When someone is teaching to you, preaching to you, sharing with you, revealing to you, it's a validation. People will often say to me, whoa, that was a confirmation. I needed that confirmation. This validates things for me. And what does that do? It puts the power back to you and your God. You as a creator, you is taking responsibility for what you're putting a lot of investment of your energy, your life currency in. So emotional safety for Pisces right now is they now know it's something they've been building from the inside out. So this transit, along with this full moon and the other planets like sparkling up there and the trine to Mars, is teaching you how to stay rooted in yourself while also, Pisces, letting go of any kind of an inherited expectation around your home, your family, your belonging. Your relationships don't have to be like theirs. And they don't have to be 180 degrees opposite of theirs just to prove a point either. They're yours. They're yours and the person that's sitting right across from you, and you both can discuss past disappointments or past preferences, but then make sure you come back, Pisces, with your partner to say, and it's you and I right now. We're in each other's life, and I'm grateful, and I want both of us to have a win-win, and I want you to know this: you matter. You matter. I believe that what's rich and tangible and reliable in our life right now needs to be energized, needs to be the acceleration of more of that comes with us acknowledging that. And so it's a little deeper than just maintaining an attitude of gratitude. It's deeper. It's how the compelling energy of soul comfort actually grounds us. And no matter what's going on in our life, it's like, I'm here for a reason. It's okay. I get it. So for Aquarius, oh boy, you guys, this year Aquarius started off with the great transformer, Pluto, the ruler of Scorpio, in your sign. Nothing remains the same. What stays holds great wealth and value for your consciousness ascension. And you are the one that's the odd one out of the box, the black sheep of the family, the one that's going to break the curses and invite the blessings. But there's going to be fire and brimstone and lightning bolts. And I'm like, go ahead. I'm not doing that. You do it that way if that's what you need to do. And you're going to let them have the consequences of their choices. Aquarius is very strong in that they've got to follow that soul song, that liberty, that I have to be my unique person. I've had a lot of Aquarius friends and as well as clients say to me, various ages, this is a point in my life I really, really need to do it my way, so I stop being so hard on myself. I'm compromising myself too much to win the favor or the approval of other people. So you Aquarians out there can let Nicole know about that at some point as you work with her or talk with her. So I believe it's a revolution. Think about Uranus being revolutionary. It's revelatory, Pluto and Aquarius, and there's a revolution. There's a revolt and an awakening and an allowing. And so it's pleasure and creativity and romance because it's going through the fifth zone. The themes have to do with pleasure and when's the last time you were wildly excited over the movie or the person or the song or the dance or the art or the child, whether your own or it actually being the spirit of joy around you. So it's time for you to carve that niche of time so you can have some creativity and freedom, liberty from any rules, and rediscover play as a form of, it's a nice therapeutic. So got to tell you, in my metaphysical journeys and all kinds of different venues, I love me some spirit of play. Doesn't have to be adrenaline addiction, just the spirit of humor and play. Like one of the things I would do for myself for therapy, I would even go with myself, sit in the back row, and I would go to various comedy shows in South Carolina and Florida. I just wanted to be invisible in the back and just let the jester, the fool card in the tarot, entertain me. And so the tarot card right now is both the Fool, the continual journey, and it's also the Wheel of Fortune because it has all four zodiac signs. We've got Pluto and Aquarius. So if you're a Capricorn, this is a revolution. This is a reset and a revision around work, health, daily regimes and routines. It has a lot to do with what's stressing you out, how you can learn to respond differently and detach quicker from stress, especially working with that nervous system. Yeah, that anxiety and that nervous system. So consider a more holistic, naturopathic, mind-body healing type of approach. Could be supportive. It could be that you grab a best friend and you go watch a Native American ceremony, watch somebody doing the dance competition and how they morph and shape shift into the animal medicine totems that they dress up as, that they adorn themselves with, or, go into Reiki, the Usui Chinese ancient Reiki or Tai Chi. But this would be a really good time, Capricorn, for you to, Capricorn likes to keep the best of their family traditions, their past, their parents, their grandparents, and hope that gets passed on to their children. But this is a time where you might be looking at elder teachings of other cultures, languages, as you spoke about, learning another language or going to a country that doesn't speak your primary language and really being vulnerable in that environment because you can't control it. It's like you've got to rely on your language apps, your Babbles or this or that, and the Good Waiter and all that kind of stuff, and your tour director type of a thing. So Capricorns may be going into foreign lands and foreign concepts of beliefs and ceremonial experiences. Uranus is going into your sign like Geminis. Oh my God, you Sagittarians out there that might be involved with a Gemini moon or a Gemini rising sign or an actual solar Gemini. They could be all over the place, and you get kind of excited to keep up with them, like you want to join them. Yeah, you want to join them. So there's an invigoration that's going on for Gemini. And I always look at Gemini and Sagittarius like this. Sagittarius wants to learn, tell the story. They're great tale keepers and story, the wisdoms of things that were not drawn on petroglyphs and caves of the pyramids, but that they actually are the storyteller of the ancient lineage, the star people and such, like the Hopi Indians. And Gemini's like, ooh, that's exciting. Tell me more. Entertain me with words. Entertain me with words so that I have a vision. I want to take the journey in my mind. So if you're Sagittarius or Gemini right now, it's the power of words and it's the mind game. But I do see, especially for Sagittarius, it's revolution in relationships and all key agreements. It's a 7-house stance, so it's our significant others. Your Scorpio, Mars is going to go through your sign. After somewhere there in September, Mars is going to be bouncing around in Scorpio. It's going to be strong. It's going to be hot. It's going to be sensual. And it's going to be like kind of life and death, the epiphany and awakening type of thing as you get into October, which Scorpios love October anyway. But the Uranus in Gemini is hitting your 8th house. That's the natural house of death and rebirth, death, taxes, and all that they like to make fun of. So it has to do with signs from the other worlds. It has to do with, do you have any psychological obsessiveness? Are you OCD? Are you ADD? Let's take the alphabet letters out of it, and let's start to look at, and you will, especially in 2026, at what is it that seems to want to take a dominant manipulative lead in your psychological style or thinking. So I believe that listening to podcasts that have to do with, releasing the past and being more innovative and stimulated, it might be physics, it might be holistic healing, but I feel like that this energy of Uranus hitting that 8th house, I believe that a whole lot of people with Scorpio, somewhere prominent in their chart over the next 7 years, but especially over the next 3 years, are going to be looking at the afterlife and the heavens and what can happen spiritually, soul to soul, out of body with animals or people, and having dreams and visions and life-changing, revolutionary visions of different aspects of themselves, watching themselves allow the past to walk away and be reinvented. Yeah, there's going to be some big, kind of like when people do the mushrooms, or people do like certain ceremonial plants and things, and they literally see the death of the past or the death of this life, and then they are born anew. I'm not saying you have to be attached to doing just this or that to get there. But if you talk to anybody that's done any kind of psychedelics, be it psychiatrist or a street person, and they didn't end up addicted to it, but they had some very incredible life-changing experiences from it. And they'll talk to you about the scary stuff too. It's like, whoa, that was weird. The wall moved. So I've been a sitter many times for people that have done that. So it's a different kind of bearing witness, holding space, watching the display of emotions and the circus of consciousness and what shows up to be the symbols to try to get them to snap out of it and move forward. If you're Libra, this Capricorn moon, when you're a cardinal sign, Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, Libra has got an energy with them right now that the last 7 years showed them they plowed through anyway, they stepped forward anyway, and they may have appeared to be, and were, accommodating to other people's rules and regulations or styles in the family dynamic or in relationships, and they went through rejection. Of lots of Libra friends and clients that experienced pretty harsh, not being invited, being rejected, being judged by the family lineage dynamic, and then also then seeking harmony in an intimate, sensual, committed relationship, and having the other person kind of fall behind on that and not telling the truth about everything, and they didn't quite get that divorce when they said, and they're not so sure they want to get married again. Yeah, so Libras had to go through the field of dizzying circumstances. And as Mars completes, it's been 2 years, and arrives at your sign on August the 7th, Libra, and this Uranus and Gemini absolutely is a beauty enhancer to do with your creativity, your artistic nature, your ability to spin a healthy web to capture someone's attention through illumination and artistry and effervescence of a personality. This is a revolution of belief. You're going to want to travel. Everything is expanding, and it's a ninth house thing. The things that you knew since you were a child, perhaps from other incarnations. This is the way I always knew I had to believe. I always had to live my life. I mean, it's really going to be as you get to your birthday cycle of this year, Mars gets there first, but as you get to your birthday cycle this year, Libra, you're really going to see that the next 3 years kiss you some pretty magical opportunities and people. It's like, it's your time. It's your time. And congratulations. I mean, the Pluto in Aquarius and the Uranus in Gemini and lots of good things are going on. I mean, lots of good things are going on. So I don't see you in the firing line. I don't see that you have to be a soldier for romance anymore. You can just sit back and understand that you can be in some kind of army of advantageousness, but you don't have to go on a battlefield. Like you won't go on a battlefield. Now you see what it's like for the team to work together. If you're Virgo, Mars is in your sign right now. It's truly a get her done type of cycle. This full moon in Capricorn only amplifies that. And we've got a revolution with Jupiter going into the water sign of Cancer. That's very good with Virgo. So we've got Jupiter in Cancer and Mars in Virgo right now, saying you really can just put all your errands on one day and pick the least stressful, the most free day. Just go get the banking done. And you don't have to do it all online. Sometimes you can. Sometimes you got to physically go somewhere, and you don't want to give up your total liberty and freedom to walk into a box store either. Balance. So with Virgo right now, the Gemini stimulus has a lot to do with, am I able to be able to maintain my ability to organize my thoughts and to see some concrete type of results, like they're wanting to see the fruits of their labors. So this, I have to say, your best course of action right now in order to play deeper, harder, easier is to get the stuff done. It's been kind of a dangling participle out there, but you've got a public life, you've got what you want to be dedicated to as far as the accomplishments of your labors. And are you going to start delegating more, Virgo, instead of doing it all yourself? I've had Virgos say things to me like, yeah, I don't want to exercise my hips that much anymore. I'm going to hire this done. I don't want to I've painted a house before. I don't want to do it again. I'm like, well, good, then don't. Why can't you let yourself find pleasure in the fact that you're a point in your life that you could either get a loan or you have the money that you could pay and bless somebody to paint your house, and you get to see the results of your hard-earned money and all of that, and you also get someone a job. Let's not just soar past some gratitude moments in that you actually have the ability to hire somebody, or you're at the point in your life when you really are going to enjoy saving money and you really like painting and you're going to paint your own house, or it's whatever. So it's like that, the tangible results of like, I'm going to trade in that car. I'm going to buy this for the house. I'm going to get rid of the old furniture and donate it to somebody that, I'm clean, I'm freaky, I don't let smoke in my blah, blah, blah. Everything's nice, but I'm going to give it away, and I'm going to go I don't care if it's Rooms to Go or one of your local furniture stores. I'm going to go get something different for myself. There needs to be kind of a reinvention or a little bit of a liberation, at least of one room in your apartment, your home, your trailer, whatever it is, because it's got to do with, I need something that is physically in front of me that shows me I fixed it, I got it done, it's not broken anymore. That kind of stuff can stress Virgo and sometimes Pisces out. If you're Leo, every year when the sun moves through the sign of Cancer, the crab, aka the sign ruled by the moon, Moonchild, it's the sign before Leo. So the moon is Cancer and the sun is strongest in Leo. So we're getting ready to come into that solar return, your Earth birthday cycles, but this is the time to where if you're being too erratic, if you're saying all the time, I'm bored, I need to do something, I miss this, I miss that, damn it, I don't have the money, ooh, now I have the money, oh, I spent it, now I'm bored again. There's kind of like a jumping bean kind of going on in the Leo energies right now. The anxiousness has to do with, I've got something that this is that perfect year, that perfect full moon for you Leos to be able to actually see the improvements happen. But you're going to have to get yourself involved with it and stop expecting other people to bail you out or finance you in that sense. You might get a little frustrated. You might need to have a little nap, might need to sleep a little earlier or a little later, whatever your preference is. But I feel like this is a kind of a restoration energy cycle for Leo. And the Gemini factor that's coming in has to do with new social networks coming out of the shy box. You know, you're going to be, it's just going to naturally happen. A new neighbor moves in. Someone invites you over here. Someone wants you to, you know, oh my God, my traveling companion can't make it. The ticket's bought. Can you go? Kind of a thing. So there's going to be like the way that the angels want to like kind of urge Leo to get into a safe social network or circle and not just out there partying because you can or staying home because most of society's been irritating you lately. So there's going to be an emergence of what are the new dreams that you want to weave, what are the more compatible styles of energy and personality that work for you right now. You know, when socializing and friendship becomes work all the time, you know, when you got to work at it all the time to make it work, yeah, here's a hint, it ain't working. The Leos are going to be, again, soon coming into their birthday cycles. Mars will be in Libra. It's the L team. Libra and Leo stimulate each other in a lot of really nice creative ways. So I think that this birthday cycle, you're going to see achievement, accomplishment, and it's just going to be like, wow, I did it. I got it done. And now I can decompress and just let myself rise and heal, whatever words you want to use. It's like a cat being let out of the house and it gets to roam around in the garden for a while. You know, it's just like, I'm safe. There's no coyotes and it's a cat. Cats are independent anyway. They're curious anyway. You add that Leo and Gemini and Aquarius, Pluto opposing you July-born Leos, and it's kind of like, I'm stimulated. I'm worn out. I'm frustrated. I'll get it done. So it's been kind of like this spin cycle that's been going on. And I feel like that this is probably the first point in 2025 that it's like, I want to say to you, take a breath. Sit in the rocker, sit in the swing, take a drive in the country, put your music on, kick your head back, have a few puffs, whatever, meditate, let yourself chill. It's chillax time, Leo. It's chillax time. If you're a Cancer rising, so the planet of revolution, the planet of reinventing yourself, Cancer risings or Cancer sun signs, is that it's moving into your 12th house. It's moving into the realm of all that's possible out there. Where were you before you were alive on Earth this incarnation? And what is that mysterious energy and that function of feeling that lets me feel really comfortable when I hear and what stirs a belief in me and what stirs my attraction and what stirs my ability to feel like that's an easy person to talk to. I like talking to that person. So, and what allows me to be, I'm going to move into a temporary teacher role, always the student. What allows me to be able to really listen without my feelings being involved of my needs and what I want and how I want to be touched and how I prefer to be spoken to and whatever the dynamic of that is. Because Cancer, the crab's got a hard shell and a very soft, gelatinous body inside that hard shell, a turtle. A lot of people don't know that the tortoise shell is a part of the turtle's body. So like it's not a creature that crawls all the way out of the turtle shell. So it's like hard shell, vulnerable at the very least, if not tender, vulnerable, because turtles' legs are scaly. It's the emergence from the egg type of a thing, bird egg, snake egg, whatever it is. So it has to do with life contained with a little bit of a external shell. So Cancers are coming out of their shelters. It's their birthday cycle right now in a solar revolution kind of way. This is the full moon that is opposite the sign of Cancer. Let's take it psychological. If Cancer is the maternal, the Madonna, the nurturing yin, feminine energy, the mother that hovers, the protector, Capricorn, where the full moon is right now, and by the way, moon rules Cancer. Did I say that? So the moon right now, which is the ruler of the sign Cancer, is in its opposite sign at this full moon of Capricorn, and that's daddy. That's father figures. That's patriarchal. That's yang. That's Saturn. That's the wisdom. That's the counselor. That's the therapist. That's the doctor. That's the dentist, so you don't end up with type 2 diabetes. So it's those kind of conversations that are happening right now with, are you too thin? What does being thin mean to you? What does being just all muscle mean to you? What does just being, why are your knees hurting? There's a lot of that stuff that might be going on. What's at the base of that? Do you have any addictions developing? So cancers keep things on the inside. They keep things on the inside. And then when it begins to affect that shell, if you will, when it begins to affect that, then it becomes quite the challenge. So the energy that we've got right now, if you work through this, it's like coming out healed, coming out of the hospital, coming out of the monastery, achieving the meditation, going to the summit of Kilimanjaro. It's like there is an epiphany involved in this, a real epiphany involved in this. And this is it's a startup point on the wheel. For those of you that are born under the sign of Cancer, it's your full moon that teaches you quietly, personally, intimately, silently, what are the emotional qualities that I value the most now? And it might be, I don't have to be in the same room with a significant other all the time to appreciate the fact that I like being in this relationship. And when you get in a steady relationship, one thing that'll come up is when you start to feel, quote, am I bored? I mean, I really care for them, but why am I bored? I think the boredom thing a lot of times comes from we've got too much drama and too much chaos and interruption in our life. Don't you, Nicole? Don't you think that sometimes when we think we're, is this relationship exciting enough for me? Look at the possibility of all the interruptions in the dynamics of the course of intimacy when we can have someone that's tangible and reliable and authentic and will say no when they need to say no and be willing to discuss things, but a yes is a yes. And can I have no be no when I want to? Yeah. Like one of the deals, that I'll make is like, you want to watch something on Netflix or you want to watch a movie? Yeah. Well, what do you want to see? Well, just pick something and then let's have an agreement that if it's not moving either one of us in 15 to 30 minutes, let's just agree to change it. Oh, okay. Yeah. So it can be something simple, but sometimes those simple allowings and agreements allow somebody else the space to say, that was good. That was good. Oh, I felt validated there. I felt like I was involved. That's what, if you're in an involved commitment, that's what it means. You're evolving by being with each other. You're in a commitment. So it's an involvement that allows a different, I think, level of evolvement, which usually when we just say singular or single, we can kind of put that off. We can kind of put that on back burner. And you've heard the statement, haven't you, Nicole? Well, yeah, they're set in the South World. They're set in their ways. Yep, they ain't gonna change. They're set in their ways.
Funny. Literally just had this conversation on the weekend because Ian and I were both Cancer ascendants. And we both were single for a long time before like coming into this relationship. And now that we're living together, it's been like, yeah, we are just really like having to realize that, we're too used to being single and like learning to be in relationship, and it can't always be your way or my way, or, it's learning to compromise and bite your tongue sometimes, and really pick your battles when they're important, like take them, and when it doesn't really matter, like just let it go. It's not worth it. So it's definitely something that's been coming up for us as Cancer ascendants.
Well, I'll tell you, Gemini can allow us to really have an injection of humor, like you just said. Bite your tongue. Sometimes you can just take your fingers, almost like you're got a cigarette paper and you're rolling it, and you can do it around the two sides of your mouth, and the partner will be the kind of cranky or edgy. They'll kind of look at you. I'm getting ready to bite my tongue. I'm just getting ready. I love the culture of Black people. I absolutely adore that, and I think that I can speak from being half Italian and half hillbilly, the Caucasian-looking kind of person, Mediterranean blend that I am, full-fledged hillbilly when I need to be, country girl. I love how they get exuberant. Like I'm in one of these little outlet stores yesterday, and there's this cute as a button, middle-aged Black guy, and he's on the phone. And he's like going over to Derek, and he's talking to himself as well as probably his partner. That's an assumption, but he's laughing, and he wasn't high because I checked that. It was like, oh, good, he's high. I was going to go, oh, good, he's high. This is going to be fun to watch. When I go down the pedal, I'm going to be happy. I'm looking for the humor of every moment. I'm that girl that likes to laugh. I like the spirit of play. So he's going over to the dairy aisle, and he's talking. He's like, where is that dip I got here last night? That was so good on my steak. And he's looking. I said, are you looking for like the garlic dip? So he's going to be over there. He was just so in the moment. And I said, look at this. I said, I found a cheese here that like I've never heard of before. Like I've gone to Middle Eastern marketplaces and grocery stores, and Italian cheeses have all kinds of fancy tangled up names. I said, look at this one. He goes, oh, that's way too complicated for me. It's exotic for me if it says Swiss. That's enough for me. But I thought, oh my God, if you have to be kind of like on an errand, potentially rushed or bored, or just wanting to get out of a little, outlet grocery store, I thought, now that was a fun moment. You know what? He's so happy it made me happy. I could hear him all over the story. And he wasn't rude or anything, but he was just like, I'm getting it. Oh man, you're going to send me the back a little on the move comedy show. And I went and I got in my car and I'm like, you know what, Spirit? You brought a comedy show to me. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I got to bear witness as someone was testifying in the dynamics of their actions, not just their words. So it's like, you know what? Put your words into a play, into theater, into action, not to try to suck all the oxygen out of the room or get all the attention in the relationship or the meetup or anything, but just simply to be the jester. Just enough, because Gemini can be that silver-tongued devil. Now I'm not. They can be comedians. They can be very witty with the verbiage. So you can allow some of this Gemini whimsical, word-playing, flirtatious humor, not to have any kind of seedy intention, but just to kind of do a little quick mental check. Gemini is very quick on is everybody enjoying themselves, and if not, my focus with the Gemini will be on the person that seems to be kind of sitting back, or everybody's engaged in the conversation and they aren't. That's where I'm going to go, because I know that's where my story is. That's going to be something that is going to be a wonderful win-win recipe for both of us. I ain't going to just join the chatty asses over in the corner. One more beer. Yeah, I don't need. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to see what's going on with that energy, because what is it doing? It's standing apart.
Yes.
It's standing apart.
Well, before I get into the final illumination of what this moon is going to really be revealing for all of you, I want to say we are mid-year, so this is a perfect time to book a reading, especially with all of the changes that are going on right now. I don't think people truly understand the drasticness of all of these outer planets changing signs, and we just had the final change, at least in a sense of going into a new sign. So if you want a reading, book one with Mary, and I'm leaving all of her links down below, but you can book a reading with her at her website, marydusina.com. And I do this, and I'm doing this twice a year now. And so because it is mid-year, I am also opening my books to get a reading with me. I stopped doing readings last summer in June. So if you're wanting to get a reading with me, I have left a link down below and we can cover everything. It can be tarot, it can be astrology, it can be just my own intuition. Like we can do it all. Plus we can add some Velocity Oracle in there, whatever you want to do. I've got the links down there. I'm only going to be taking a few bookings. So if you'd like to get in, I've got that link down there and we can look at the rest of the year or what's kind of in store for you. And, also because I got to jump off this call soon, because I'm doing my post-retreat meetup with everyone from the 3-day 180 back in May. Don't forget, we are selling tickets still for the one in September. So if you're looking for drastic, high potency change in your life and you need someone to guide you through it, to really break free through something, to elevate, whether it's wanting to really connect to your higher self, your guides, to have some sort of galactic experience, clear some major trauma, healing, whatever it might be, the 3-day 180 is something that will drastically change your life and you will walk out a completely different person. Tickets are still available, but they are selling out. So if you want to book a place, there are only a couple rooms left. So tickets down below to apply. Basically, when it comes to this full moon, the questions you need to ask yourself are you carrying a legacy or are you repeating your lineage, right? Maybe you're meant to break free of that. Are you building your mission or are you building someone else's expectations of your success? Are your current responsibilities, very Saturn energy, in integrity with your emotional truth? Or are you just trauma coping still? Because this moon isn't just illuminating the pressure points, it's giving you a blueprint for emotional integrity in action. So Capricorn is saying, if it doesn't serve your soul, it doesn't belong in your structure. And that's what's getting revealed through this full moon right now. And Mars and the South Node are inspiring you and driving you to let go of what needs to be let go of the perfectionism, the overperforming, anything that doesn't fit the bill anymore, that isn't yours, let it go. And this is basically end of transmission for full moon in Capricorn. Mary, would you like to close out with anything there?
I'm gonna put your two words together then, because I love it, and I know you got to get off the call. So I'm taking a bow to the audience with my lovely queen leader of this podcast, Nicole. I'm bowing my head in gratitude and saluting you all for the work that you do, how you support, how you teach, how you learn. I'm going to use Nicole's words that I enjoyed putting together, giving the credit due: visions and versions. Visions and versions. The version of you, the visions are coming, and as you vision it, as you see it, so shall it be. Let thine eye be single. Thank you, Nicole.
Aho. Well, thank you, Mary, for being here. We'll see you next month for the full moon in Aquarius, right before we get into eclipse season. But we're also going to be doing this around the Lion's Gate, so that'll be a fun show. So stay tuned, everyone, for that. And of course, if you want to check out Mary's new moon broadcasts, check them out with Joe Roop on Lighting the Void. You can check out her new moon broadcast there. To everyone else, we love you.